Diary, hello, it's May, the end of May 2025, and this is not just an unboxing of the latest Garmin Forerunner 970 smartwatch. There will be some social commentary at the end. So let's first just get on with the unboxing. So this is the 970, which replaces the 965 as the top of the range watch. And so the cardboard packaging is slightly less posh than it used to be. We've got Mr. Watch. It's the first time I've seen it in real life. We'll talk about the watch in a second. It's got two little pockets. On the left we have, I'm assuming, a Garmin cable. It's now Garmin to USB-C. That's great. It's been USB Type A, the fat connector, until now. So that's a welcome change. On the other side of the case is a manual, 970 manual, which is about 1 page long, literally, and then about 1,000 ways of safety. So there's a safety information which hilariously is hundreds of pages long. That is the way of the world these days. Well, I should be saving this manual for when I no doubt sell this watch in a couple of years' time. And what is this to say about the watch from all my reading? Well, the watch comes with 22mm straps, and it isn't actually a quick release mechanism, I don't believe, but you can add a quick release. So by taking off the watch strap, you'll be left with the lugs here, and then you can fit a quick release strap, or as many people do, they fit like a fibre strap. Which is not recommended for swimming, because technically speaking you could lose the watch whilst swimming, as I did with the 965. So don't do that, kids. Okay, so let's put Mr. Box away. A few points about the watch. There's going to be a more detailed run through in a second, but the main thing to notice is you've got a bit of bling here relative to the 965, which I'm definitely not in favour of. I suppose it does mean if you go to a club, I mean, when I say club, I mean something like a gym, people may notice this colour-coded thing, say, oh, you've got the new 970, so you could be famous for a week or two. The next thing I'm going to say is that this screen is, let's double check, yep, it is still freaking really annoying. You've got a flat screen here, and then you've got a curve at the edge. So you've got the bezel, and proud of the bezel. It's now a sapphire screen, but that doesn't really change my criticism, which is that the glass screen is basically, it angles down here. So to get a screen protector on this, it will be flat, and then it has to negotiate the curve at the edge here, which is basically, I'm going to have to use the word crap. Really not a fan. Anyway, this will be on the charger whilst I give you the full social commentary. Let's go. So we're in the second part of the video, and this is the social commentary side, and I've titled the associated article "Not as Pricey as a 911." And the reason is, I'm going to try and tell you that probably few of us deserve or need to have a 970 if we've got a 965. So here we go. First of all, I'd like to tell you that I managed to get a discount on the 970, which is quite something, because at the moment in the UK, all I can see is that the watch is either out of stock or available at the retail price, which is just over £600. I think it's about £630. Now, I will note that in the other country of choice, in Switzerland, I've looked at the Digitech price, or the Galaxus price, and the cheekiness of the situation is unbounded, because Garmin have priced the watch in Switzerland significantly higher than in the UK. So despite our 8% VAT rate in Switzerland, the price is stratospherically high when compared to the UK. So I never thought I'd get a discount, but then there's a little side story to tell you, which is that I was originally looking for the 970 on my workstation, which I'm recording this video on. But then by complete chance, I instead went to my mobile platform. And on my mobile platform, I just had a software update of Edge. And somehow it reset the options. Now the Edge browser has this very irritating facility whereby it tries to find you shopping deals. And somehow that got switched on, which I normally always have it switched off. And it said, oh, I see you're trying to buy a Garmin 970. And I was on the Start Fitness website. And it said, shall I try a few coupons? And I'd already Googled coupons for the Start Fitness website. And about 30 minutes of not finding any coupons on my workstation, I was astonished to find it managed to find a 10% coupon for the Start Fitness UK website. So I got a 10% discount on the 970. So there's a bit of a plug. Use the Edge browser, if you're in the UK, go to Start Fitness, and maybe you too can get a 10% discount on a brand new Garmin 970. So I'm going to go through so now we've got the watch. Let me tell you what the changes are. Now obviously I've known what the changes were going to be before I bought the watch, but let me just go through the changes. These are the principal changes. I've got a link to DC Rainmaker's very comprehensive article. But I'm going to highlight the main changes, not the tiddly tiny little changes. So one thing is you've got the uprated Garmin heart rate sensor. I think it shares that with the Phoenix 8, which is called the Elevate Gen 5 sensor. And that looks slightly different on the back of the watch. By the way, what do all good people do before they get their watch? They charge it properly. You obviously don't get a charger, but you get the cable. So I'm leaving it to charge while I speak this article. Anyway, back to the plot. You get the Elevate Gen 5 sensor, which is ECG capable, and you're going to notice why a lot of these things don't matter in a minute. Well, let's list the advantages of the 970 versus the 965, which has been my watch of choice for sports activities for about 2 years now. So 965 has been out for a huge amount of time, has not been upgraded, and so I guess my target audience or target listeners here or viewers here are going to be people like myself who have a 965 and are thinking, oh, maybe I should upgrade. So here are the actual differences. ECG capable, so you can run an ECG test just like you can on an Apple Watch. It's got a sapphire glass screen, which some of the better Phoenixes had. But you can just put a screen protector on the screen. Now, the tragedy or the travesty of the situation, as I've said in the first part of the video, is that this screen is still flipping curved. And that is just a travesty because there's no... Obviously, every single watch that's ever been designed, Apple Watch excluded, because of course they've started this ridiculous trend, has a bezel that sticks proud of the screen, and the idea is that the bezel protects the screen. But come the Apple Watch, of course, they decided not to do that, and I'm so upset that Garmin, who had the opportunity to go back to the design of previous Forerunners to have a proud bezel, have decided not to do it. So again, you've got to get a screen protector that goes around this curved bit on the edge, and that's, well, it doesn't work as well. You've got to get a non-glass screen protector. You've got to get a flexible screen protector. So bad stuff, Garmin. Let's move on to the next. Well, it's not a change, but you've got the sapphire glass screen, but it's still curved. The next thing is the watch is slightly thinner, but it's only 0.3 millimeters thinner. And you're really going to be hard pushed to notice that. It's got that irritating plate on the side. Let's add that in. So, by the way, it's 3 grams heavier. It's got the annoying plate on right edge to tell you it's 970. I really don't want that. If I could pull that off, I think I would pull that plate off. It's got a flashlight, white and red, just like an Apple Watch. It's got microphone and speaker, so you should be able to take a call on the watch, just like an Apple Watch. It's got a number of new fancy metrics that might mean something to you when you initially get the watch, but they do require this HRM 600 belt, and I am very sensitive to having something on my chest. So personally, I've got some breathing issues. It used to be on long competitions, and now it's getting worse. And any sort of compression on my chest stops me from being able to breathe easily. So I definitely will not be wearing the HRM 600, and therefore I will definitely not be benefiting from all of these extra metrics, which is a shame. We've added some activities, but there were a boatload of activities before, and so whether you're going to use any of these other activities, it's really, I wouldn't. When you buy a very cheap Chinese watch, you tend to get something. I've seen watches with 100 activities, and Garmin is going in the same direction, and I think you don't need that many activities, but these are the ones that have been added. Very interesting, you have got a large font display option. Now, I've said this for a long time, that people who are older, that's including me, do not have as great eyesight as previously, and a large font display will help you navigate the watch. So that is very, very welcome. Not tested it, but I've seen it in the specs. I anticipate that since this is a new watch, Garmin will add some new features over time, and compared to the 965, you're bound to see things like new feature X applied to the 970. Oh dear, we're not planning on doing that on the 965. So you're sort of future-proofing yourself. But on the other hand, there are so many facilities on the 965. If you look at the battery life statistics, you'll see that most of the battery life numbers have gone up slightly, but only by a small amount. So I know, for example, in full non-music mode, but using multiband GPS, it's gone up from 19 hours to 21. And not tested, but in the specs I see that you can back up and restore settings to a new watch. But I don't think that will allow me to take my settings from the 965 to the 970. It would allow me to take them from a 970, probably to a Phoenix 8, which I'm not planning to do. So now you can get your violins out, because this is the real killer as to why I probably don't deserve a new 970 over my 965, but I sort of want one. I have had a few health wobbles in the last 6 months to 1 year, increasing health wobbles. And because of that, I'm unable to do any kind of long distance competition at the moment. My left leg is in such agony that I can't run a single step without it hurting, let alone do a long distance competition. And if you've had an injury, and if you're a runner, it's difficult because you want to continue exercising. So nevertheless, I'm putting in up to about 2 or 3 hours a day exercise. However, I'm not doing it running. So what will I use this watch for right now? So I can use it for trail runs, but I'll be limited to something like 20 kilometers, and every step's painful. So it's not going to be done at a fast pace, but I still could use maps. So I was in Shelagh Bay the other day, and we had a map course. And although I knew the forest, it was nice to have the course. Hadn't run it for some time, and it was nice to have that course. If I do participate in a shortish race, I say race, I'll be able to plod round. I wouldn't be able to get a good time, but the race would normally come with a GPX route, so I can download that GPX route, download it to the watch, and have it as a course. So that, that's my current use. I use the heart rate, Ant Plus heart rate, Ant Plus broadcast on indoor cycling. So for me, I cycle almost daily now, either indoors or outdoors, and heart rate broadcast from my 965 is absolutely essential. It's much more reliable than the Apple Watch. We'll come to the 2-watch strategy in a second. It's very key. So the Garmin watch is what I always use for heart rate, and I would say that many indoor cycling trainers use Ant Plus, or if you go to a gym, it's Ant Plus. So Bluetooth still hasn't really taken over, and so an Ant Plus broadcast is still useful. Again, we have that on the 965. So again, my usage is all activities, all sports activities. Now on the Apple Watch, which is on my left wrist, there is a very good program called Work Outdoors, which is a paid-for program. It's not very expensive, and that attempts to give you the benefits of a Garmin watch on the Apple platform. In particular, you can download a route, and you can have a proper route, not just the last time you pressed a button on the Apple Watch, which is pathetic. But I'm sure Garmin is very thankful that it is as pathetic as it is on the Apple Watch, because if they had proper routes, I would say that the Apple Watch would be a much better proposition for trail runners, for example. But I still would use the 970 as I'd use the 965 for all sporting activities, and the Apple Watch would only ever be a backup. So that's my current usage. And where would I need to use a 965 or 970 rather than Apple Watch? Well, I guess the quality of metrics is better on Garmin. Of course it is. For competitions greater than 12. Wait a minute, I think I've got a small visitor here. Baby, come in. Come in, sweetie. I have a small visitor. She might show herself shortly. So for competitions of greater than 12 hours, a Garmin watch is going to beat an Apple Watch hands down. For map-based events, so following a hand-drawn route or a race GPX course, again, the Apple Watch is no good. You're going to need to have a proper watch like a Garmin. However, and this is a big however, we've looked at the increments of a 965 to a 970, and you've got things like the microphone and the speaker, you've got things like the flashlight. However, a lot of people these days, and this is a top secret, so if you only listen to one part of the video, this is the bit to listen to. In today's world, a lot of people wear 2 watches. A lot of serious people wear 2 watches, and this is the secret bit. Most wealthy people will wear a branded watch, like a Tag or a Rolex, on one wrist, and on the second wrist they'll wear an Apple Watch. And most athletes will not rely on just a Garmin watch. Athletes who need to get more notifications and work in the real world, I would say, would be better off with 2 watches. You're going to use your Garmin watch for all your athletic activities, and you're going to use your Apple Watch for all your notifications. And guess what? An Apple Watch already has the ability to make and receive calls. An Apple Watch already has larger fonts, and with a square screen on the Apple Watch is far better at displaying text, and it has a different font size. And guess what? An Apple Watch has a torch. And finally, an Apple Watch already has ECG, the latest Apple Watches. So, if you are in the 2-watch camp, with your Apple Watch as your second watch and your Garmin watch as your first watch, you have practically no reason to upgrade. But I have the reason to upgrade, as the title suggests, not as pricey as a 911. And that is my... a 911 car is approximately 100,000 GBP, and a Garmin watch is about 600 GBP. So I think I have really, really economised on the situation with the midlife crisis, call it what you will. I don't have a technical need to upgrade to a 970, but I would like to think that it's a cheaper option than a 911. So there we have it. The 970 is the latest Garmin watch. You can get it on a discount if you try with the Edge browser and Start Fitness in the UK. I'd read the DCR review, which I've linked to here. I'm going to charge this watch up properly. I'm going to see if I can transfer my data, my settings and my screens and my watch face from the 965, but I'm not optimistic at all. And I look forward to this watch performing as well as my 965 has for about the next 2 years. Thanks for watching.